talk to yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror, talk to yourself. All the things that you want to hear from other people in your life, say them to yourself.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tapping into another episode of the Mindful Moneymakers podcast, where we give you all the tips, tricks, and mindset shifts you need to make if you want to live a life by design instead of by default. Today, I'm super excited to be introducing you to a whole nother individual, a beautiful person, a light in the world, light in the dark pathway, all of the things. Brandy M. Morgan. Look, let me tell you a little bit about Brandy, right? So Brandy is committed to driving positive change within individuals and communities of color. Her passion for advocacy fuels her mission to assist people in navigating and conquering challenges both personally and professionally. With her support, you will cultivate empowerment, mindfulness, networking prowess, and unwavering confidence. Brandy's approach fosters actionable steps that pave the way for your personal, professional, and organizational aspirations. Thank you for talking with us today, Brandy. How are you feeling?
Doing great. Thank you for having me here.
Yes, indeed. I'm super excited to jump into our conversation. We had our pre-interview, and I was completely blown away by your story, and I've been looking forward to this day since then. So to kick it all off, I know I gave a brief, kind of introduction of who you are and what you're all about, but could you dive a little bit deeper? Tell us how you got started and what you're doing and what drives your mission right now.
That's a whole lot. So, 7 years ago, how it all started, 7 years ago, I was homeless for a year and a half with my youngest child, my son. And this was in California in the Bay Area at the time. And, case managers are so over inundated with cases that it's really hard for them to help individuals that are in and out of these shelters. So I really had to kind of take power into my own hands, find assistance and programs in other ways, and kind of bring that information to my case manager. So I ended up getting off the streets into a transitional housing program. And during that whole process, all I really wanted was support. That's all I really wanted. I just wanted somebody to see me for who I was, recognize that my situation did not dictate what I was capable of achieving or who I was as an individual. And once I got back on my feet, I realized I'm the support. I'm the support that I needed in those moments. So I reverse engineered my experience and I developed Morgan Legacy Group to be the support for others that I wish I had when I was at my absolute lowest.
Yes, indeed. That's beautiful stuff. What would you say is the defining moment that inspired you to move forward and started committing to serving others?
Just knowing how hard it is to not have support and to not have somebody in your corner. I can't even tell you how many times I cried myself to sleep or cried in the shower when my son wasn't around. So he didn't see me breaking down. He saw the strong mom, he didn't see the weak mom. And I wanted to make the experience, even though it was completely abnormal from what we were used to, I tried to make it as normal as it would be if we were in a home. So we kept the same kind of schedules and stuff like that. And it was kind of that aha moment in all of that where I was like, if I can do this, if I can go from being homeless to being a homeowner and an entrepreneur, anybody can do it. It doesn't take much, but your own confidence and a mindset shift.
Right. No lies told there. And I know that so many people are resonating with your story right now. They may not be homeless, but they definitely are going through similar challenges that they can, relate to and resonate with in your story. Um, and to just take that leap from one extreme to another one to doing better, you being more well off than most people is something it's unimaginable for so many of us. And I'm resonating with your story because the ways in which I help people build confidence and build their businesses are is the type of support that I needed in my darkest moments. So I'm curious to know kind of what that support looks like for you. How do you help people develop their confidence and get them to move forward on their goals and their dreams?
So the very first thing that I work with my clients is their mindset. What I recognized is that we can give people all the tools in the world. We can teach them how to budget. We can get them off the streets and put them in a home. We can help them find a job. But if they don't have the mindset to maintain it and keep it going, they're going to end up right back where they started. So, as a soulful life coach, I work with the whole person. So, we work body, mind, spirit, the holy trinity of coaching, right? So, I want people to know that, I mean, if you just want to cry during our session, you just need to vent and cry. I'm here for that. We can get to the work, but until you are working through your own shadows, our work isn't going to mean anything. So, I mean, I don't care if you're trying to go from quitting your job to becoming an entrepreneur. If you are just looking for somebody who needs support, if you are you're a single mom, your kids are driving you crazy, you want to have a side hustle, you don't know where to go, you're confused. I don't care what situation you're in. I got you. I've been there. I know what it feels like. It's a judgment-free, safe space. And just know that we will get through it together.
Yesterday, as a fellow mindset coach, in my experience, what you're saying is 1000% true, that everything that you want to create in your life does start with your mindset. Why do you think about yourself? How do you treat yourself? How do you show up in the world? But from my experience, I'm not seeing that people value it the way that they should. Is that your experience? That people, they want the lifestyle, but they skip over the mindset. Do you find yourself kind of like sharing like results of what you want, of what people want, and then giving them what they need, which is the mindset?
I think in society that we live in now, it's like instant gratification. People want it right now. That's not how a mindset shift works. You got to be willing to put in the effort and do the hard work for yourself. I can't do it for you. You can't do it for your clients. We can give you all the praise, we can give you all the support, we can give you all the tools, but unless you're willing to utilize them and recognize your own patterns, things aren't going to change. So it's having that initial conversation with a client and picking the fruit, I guess, as they're, explaining things to you. You got to see the bigger picture, because most of the time they have blinders on and they can only see what's directly in front of them. So you got to help remove those blinders and say, hey, there's this whole bigger picture. This is what we can do to get you there. Sometimes it's meditation. Sometimes it's just, mirrored affirmations, looking at yourself and believing the words that you're saying to yourself. Because I know when I was dealing with my issues, that was one of the hardest things for me. Just being able to look myself in the eye and say something positive. I would detour my own gaze from myself. And if I can't even do that for myself, how do I expect to do that for other people? So I like to share my experiences and my stories to let people know, hey, I'm not perfect and we can work through this together. What worked for me might not work for you, but at least like, hey, there are other options out there. I'm not stuck in this situation.
Right. I want to know a little bit more about that, because I find it heartbreaking, right, that we live in a society that has become extremely, tremendously good at distracting us from ourselves. And it's mind boggling, because we're the person that we spend the most time with, and we're also the person that needs the most attention from ourselves. But the society has been really good at distraction, right? So when you say that you were struggling and you had challenges with just looking yourself in the mirror, it seems like that's one of the smallest little baby steps that you can take, yet it was a big challenge for you. What was that like for you, and what did you do to overcome it, or how did that change for you?
Self-care. Honestly, like, people laugh when I say that, but taking your own self-care into account is the biggest thing. We're so used to, especially me as a single mom raising two kids, I'm so used to taking care of others that I was putting myself last. And I recognized that pattern. The more I put myself last, the more I struggled to get out of those situations. I really had to learn, in order for me to take care of the ones that I love most, I have to be able to take care of myself. I cannot teach my kids to love themselves and love others if I myself am unable to love myself. So just going back to basics, being able to sit in silence. It was hard at first. I would start myself with like 2 minutes of sitting in silence and just focusing on my breath. Reteaching myself how to meditate, reteaching myself how to connect with the inner Brandy, not the outer Brandy that everybody else sees and deals with. And, gradually working up from 2 minutes to 5, then to 10, but sitting in silence with myself and my thoughts, and then being able to journal that, even if it was just like nonsensical writing, it had no structure, just getting those thoughts and feelings out really helped. Because once the negativity is out, you have room to refill with the positivity.
Yes,
You
indeed.
can't keep pouring from an empty cup. So how do you refill yourself? Self-care.
Right. And I speak with so many women on a daily basis that struggle with just that, putting yourselves first. What do you think? Could you speak into what you think creates the mindset of I have to please everybody, I have to take care of everybody, and I become last? And so over the years, after decades of doing that, it becomes extremely hard to make the shift. What creates it, and what does that person need to focus on to do the smallest things that start to fill their cup so they can stop giving from an empty cup and feeling stuck in life?
I think from the most part, it's ingrained in us at a very young age. I know that we're not in the 50s anymore. Women aren't expected to be barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen. But that mindset still floats around in society. Maybe not to the fullest extent of what that statement could mean, but there's a divide between what is expected of women versus what is expected of men. And a lot of women are single mothers nowadays. And so instantly when you have a kid, you go through this nesting period when you're pregnant. And so when you have your kid, you're like, okay, now from that nesting period on, the whole focus is on the baby, and you kind of just forget about yourself. And I think that that's kind of what happened with me. I had my first child at a very young age, and I was so focused on trying to do what was right for her that I forgot to do what was right for me. And in that sense, I kind of lost my identity as Brandy. I was mom, or Felicia's mom, or Tyree's mom, or Chris's little sister, but not Brandy. So I had to relearn who I was, what I wanted for myself, and what I expected from other people. And that just that little reminder, a whole avalanche of emotions and changes to start to occur for me. But it was a very slow process. It wasn't like I just woke up one morning and, hey, I'm just going to change my whole life. I had to recognize that I was the facilitator of the issues. It was me. The consistent factor in all those situations was me.
Who
So
did
I
you
had
find?
myself and my outlook.
Yes, indeed. Sorry about cutting you off. But I'm excited to find out what you learned. Who did Brandy turn out to be once you cut out all of the noise around you and all of the other sub identities? Who did you find yourself to be?
um, a divine individual living a human experience. And in all honesty, I know that sounds very corny, but I had to connect with my inner self. I had to realize that, you know, there's so much more out in this world that's greater than us, right? And tapping into that was amazing for me. Being able to sit in that silence and actually hear responses, being able to answer those questions that I've had for the longest time that the noise was drowning out, that I was unable to answer because of all the distractions and all the noise. And so going back to my roots, when I was younger, My grandmother, although she was a Catholic going lady, she also practiced voodoo. She had taught me it when I was younger. Everything that you do has an energetic connection. She would say, it doesn't matter what you put in the gumbo as long as you're cooking it with love. It's going to come out perfect every time. And, at the time, I was really young. I didn't really understand what she meant until I became a parent. And I realized the more positive we put into ourselves, the more positive we're able to put out. So just keeping that notion in mind with everything that I do.
Powerful stuff. And I'm sure to accomplish some of the things that you've accomplished and where you've come from, it takes a community. I know that we have this self-made idea, right? And I find it hurtful and counterproductive to think that you need to put everything on your shoulders. I think that we as human beings not only are tremendously powerful as individuals, but we're also a collaborative species, right? So it's cool that you help people build a relationship with themselves, help them build that confidence, but you also help them build relationships with other people. Could you tell us how, or give us some tips on how we can start to network better?
Put yourself out there. That's the hardest thing. Events that you think that you aren't capable of attending, like, oh, I'm not at that level yet. I'm not a CEO. I can't go meet with a whole bunch of CEOs. Why can't you? What's stopping you from being a CEO besides your mind telling you that you're not good enough? Because I have the background, I have the experience. So it's a matter of having those conversations and bragging about yourself. And not in a conceited, oh, I'm better than you kind of way, but letting people know, hey, this is what I bring to the table. I add value to the conversation, and reminding yourself that you deserve to be at that table and have those conversations. And if they don't want you at that table, build your own, because I'm not going to let the next person stop me from achieving my goals and my dreams. I'm not putting that much power in somebody else's hands when it comes to me in my life.
Yes, indeed. You talking that talk, because I definitely, one of my mottos is go till no, right? Go until someone tells you stop, right? If nobody tells you no, then you're supposed to be in that room. And having that mentality has gotten me into so many rooms and connected me with so many people, right? And so many surprise outcomes have come of that, right? I've had so many collaborations, and they've invited me for this podcast and to jump on this stage or that stage or whatever. Could you speak into like what's on the other side of that fear of connecting with people? Have you had any like surprise situations pop up for you that's like, well, I didn't expect that?
Oh, yeah, plenty. Opportunity is just around the corner from your fear. And I say that because when I was completing my associate's degree, I would tell my friend, I always wanted to be a part of the NAACP. I've always, advocacy is important to me. Healing the Black community is important to me. I want to be connected. The more you share your story and your aspirations, the more opportunities come to you. Just from me sharing that little short conversation with my friend, she introduced me to someone who is now my business coach, Chandra Brooks. And at that time, she wasn't coaching. She was the vice president of the NAACP. And she took me under her wing as her intern. From there, within 5 months, I had moved. I had stopped the intern, but then I got voted in as a VP at the NAACP in the Shasta County chapter. So I went from just telling somebody, hey, this is something I'm interested in, to being introduced to somebody who gave me that exact opportunity and took me under their wing to the point where I was able to leave and fill the same position that I was just interning for. If that's not the universe telling me that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, I don't know what is.
Right.
You have to be open to the things that scare you the most. And failure has always been a fear. And I think most people have a fear of failure, but I don't look at it as failure anymore. It's a lesson. It's an opportunity. If that didn't work out, let me see what I did wrong, or let me see what I could do different to make it work the next time around. There are no losses in my life anymore. Everything is a lesson. Every single thing, good and bad, is a lesson now.
Right, right. And you're talking some powerful stuff. I don't want it to fall on deaf ears. I want people to really realize that your relationship with challenge determines the success that you can achieve, right? Because if you're always resistant and hesitant to run into challenges, you're also resistant and hesitant towards the growth that it provides, the lessons and the experience that those challenges provide. My mentor will always say, like, when something challenging came up, and I hated it at the time, would say, get excited. I'm like stuck on the side of the road with a flat tire. And I'm like, Chev, I'm trying to come into the office. I'm trying to do my thing, but life is life. And right now, he'd just say, get excited. I'm like, no, Chev, I'm not. But in hindsight, the most challenging things that we experience in our life are also the most beneficial, right?
Those are the
Right.
things that help us grow the most. Honestly, I don't think that I'd be sitting here having this conversation with you if I hadn't went through my homelessness. It gave me a certain strength, um, because I was fearful to do things on my own before. I always wanted to go somewhere with my friends. I didn't want to drive by myself, but it has opened up so many more experiences for me. I drove from North Carolina to California and back by myself with my dog, and it was probably the most empowering trip I've ever taken in my life. Way more driving than I really wanted to do, but a good playlist can get you through a lot. So it gave me that time to really think, to be with myself, to ask myself those tough questions. And then it gave me the time to figure them out, to be able to respond to myself. So taking time for self is not selfish. I know that's kind of full circle back to the self care, but I really want people to understand that it all starts with you and
Mhm.
how you care for yourself. And that's going to make all the difference on how much success you're able to achieve.
No lies told. I too also took a trip across the country back and forth. So I gotta ask you, what's the number one song on that playlist right now? What were you jamming out to?
It's an old school jam. I would say Baby Be Mine by Michael
Mhm.
Jackson. Something about that beat and that song just makes me like, I don't know, it gives me the feels. I start doing car karaoke. I have people laughing and pointing on the freeway because I'm just in my zone.
Go, go. You already know. So tell me a little bit about, so when you with a client, I want to know what their experience is like. What are some of the most common obstacles you help them overcome, and how do you help them overcome it?
I would say that the most frequent comment that I get from my clients is that they feel seen and that they feel heard. And I think that that's the biggest thing for me, is being able to provide a space, a sacred, safe space where people can be seen and heard, where people are willing to delve deeper and share deeper. Because that's how, if you stay on the surface, nothing really gets resolved. It's like a merry-go-round. You have to go deeper in order
Mhm.
to create change. That's the only way it's going to happen. So letting people know that they're not alone, that I have been through it and back, and I'm still here, and that they have the ability to do it themselves. I don't care what it is that they're coming to me for. I want them to know that I am 100% on their side, even after our sessions, even after our contract has ended. If you need to reach out to me, you know my number. I'm
Mhm.
not going anywhere. You have me for life once we're connected, because I want you to know that support doesn't end when a contract ends. If you make that connection with your clients, then they know that they can come to you for anything. And that's actually how you get retention too. That's how they keep coming back to you, because they know that there's value in speaking with you. There's value in working with you. And then they tell their friends about their experience, and then their friends want to learn about it for themselves, and you create a community. And then they learn not just how to support themselves, but to support the people that they care the most about in their lives as well.
Right. Right. You got it down to a T. That's exactly how it works. It's contagious, the type of support we get to do. And it's the most meaningful thing I think we could be doing with our lives is helping people. We help the helpers. Right.
Absolutely.
So you get those referrals. That's how you know that you're doing the right thing. A lot of people think it's all about the money, but it's really about the impact. It's really about how someone's life has changed and transformed as a result of you. Right. And
Yeah.
fills up my heart every single time. So I'm
Healed
glad that we're on
people,
the same.
healed people, right?
Yes,
Just like
indeed.
hurt people, healed people.
That's a fact. Let's say somebody is listening to the podcast right now and they are at ground zero, step one, right? What are some actionable steps anybody can take to start getting some momentum going towards their goals?
I mean, it would depend on exactly what goals they have and where they're coming from, but make a list. Make a
Mm,
list of the things that you want to achieve. Make a list of the things that you think are preventing you from achieving those things, right? Compare those lists. How can we cancel some of those out? What is something that you can start doing right now, today,
mhm,
to work through just one of those blockages that you've written on that list? And physical lists, like writing it, not putting it in your phone, not a voice, but thinking it, seeing it, writing it,
mhm,
repeating it, solving it.
mhm,
And I know that it seems kind of simple, I guess, but there's a lot more to it than that. But for me, lists are important. Being
mhm,
able to see my thoughts on paper and being able to say, hey, cross this off. Hey, I did this. I finished that. I'm one step closer to my goal. Um, Being realistic about the steps that it could take for you to reach that goal. So being honest with yourself, sharing of yourself with others, and I know that there's a lot of gatekeepers, people who have experienced something, right? Or there's a tool that was really helpful, but they don't want to tell you about it because they think you're going to get farther along than them with that same tool. But you
mhm.
guys are on two totally different paths. So I'm to tell you all the tools that I use. I'm share everything. Um, when I was in my healing process, journaling was the biggest thing for me because it
Mm,
was a way for me to not just express myself, but kind of rereading it, see where I started and see where I was at, see how my mindset was shifting through that process of journaling. And that growth gets you excited. It
right.
lights this fire in you and it makes you want to keep pushing forward. Like it
Mm,
doesn't matter how steep that hill is, you're going to get to the top regardless because you want to see that magnificent sunset. And I feel like the only way we're going to do that is if we're seeing it. I'm a very visual person, so seeing it really helps me achieve it.
right, right. You're touching on something there. It's making this idea because, like you said earlier, right? We want instant gratification. We want it now, right? A lot of the times that thing that we want is the freedom, the time, or the money, right? And I think one of the mindset shifts that just kind of happened organically within me was not to delay my gratification, but to change what I'm gratified by, right? So when you say that seeing the progress just lights you up, I lit up just then because it's like going for that run is its own reward. When the run is done, I mean, I might hate starting the run, but I love finishing the run. I feel more empowered. I feel more clear minded. I got the serotonin going. I got the endorphins going. I'm more focused throughout the day. I never hear anybody talk about it that you don't have to delay your gratification. You just need to change what you're grateful for, right? And doing the thing can, if you're looking at it the right way, give you that gratitude to keep going. And now you have momentum and you have energy and you have drive to keep going after just taking a couple of baby steps. It's the baby steps though that are the hardest, right? It's kind of
Right.
crazy.
I okay, maybe make is a strong word, but I can't think of another word. I make my clients. celebrate their small wins. We will get on, they'll share something, they'll be excited. They're like, but it's not a big deal. I didn't want to tell you. I'll be like, what? Yeah, like I'm super excited about the smallest things because I want them to start getting excited about those small things. Because look, a penny is just a penny until you have 100 of them and then you got $1.
You can say
So
that again.
find a penny, pick it up, right? Because the more you got, the more you get.
Yes.
And I need people to open up their minds to the possibility that small is just as great as big. It's the people want to celebrate graduating, right? I'm going to say this because my son is about to graduate high school, right? So he's so excited about celebrating high school and being done. And I'm like, look how far you've come. Look where you started. Look how hard it was for you. Look at all the IEP meetings we went through. Look at how you viewed yourself when we first started this journey. And look at how your confidence is now. You're beaming. You went from taking, classes that were easier to now having an IEP and graduating with grade level classes. You went from having D's and F's and struggling to get C's to now graduating with C's and higher as a senior. You did that on your own. Nobody did that for you. Yeah, you had supports in place, but you had to utilize those supports, Excuse me. And so I want people to recognize that the little things add up. And sometimes it's those little things that make a larger impact than the final destination, than those big things that everybody wants to share on social media. Share the little things too. Oh, I got up earlier today. I'm working on trying to create more time in my day. So I'm going to start tomorrow. I'm going to set my alarm. I'm going to wake up 2 hours earlier. I'm going to get up. I'm going to do my workout. I'm going to drink my coffee, get ready for work, and then go on. Just that one little difference, just changing your alarm can change your whole life if you allow it to, if you recognize how much of an impact that little change can have on your life.
It's amazing. So what I'm hearing is the biggest part of it is just showing up, is getting started and then staying started. And that's what you help people do. You help them get started and stay started so they see the results. And now they have gas in their tank. They have a reason to keep going. They have the excitement. And when they need you, they can call on you. They come back, they tell their friends about you, right? Because it's all about that transformation. Let me ask you this, Brandy. What are some of the misconceptions you think are out there about what you do and how you help people? Maybe we can dispel some of those things.
Ooh. I mean, are we talking on the coaching side or the advocacy side? Because although they kind of coexist, there are some differences. So, as an advocacy consultant, my biggest thing is sickle cell. I advocate for sickle cell. I've been doing it for a little over 10 years, and I am a certified counselor and educator for sickle cell. Not a lot of people know about it. They should, but they don't. For me, just being able to have a conversation with somebody, to teach them something new, to get them to recognize that there's more out there is just the biggest step for me. That's creating interest and awareness. But with the coaching, it's, oh, well, you're not a therapist, or, oh, you're not a counselor. What makes you better than one of them? You're just a coach. I'm not subjected to the same guidelines as a therapist or a counselor. I'm not trying to diagnose you. I'm not trying to medicate you. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm trying to get you to recognize your own brilliance. I'm here to show you to take those rose-colored glasses on that you're wearing when you're viewing yourself and get you to see the real, authentic you and be proud of that person. I'm here to support you in all the ways that you feel you need support. That is my job. Nothing more, nothing less. As a coach, I'm here to support you and get you from point A to point B in the easiest way possible, and to lend you my confidence until yours grows enough to where you don't need my confidence anymore.
What did
That
Neo say? Neo said, "Let me love you till you love yourself."
yes.
Something like that. Yes, indeed. That's the name of the game. One of the things that I've seen, as a mindset coach myself, is they expect you to be a teacher or like a giver of information. And that's surely a part of it because you have your experiences and you share your experiences. But what I find is that most of it is just holding space for somebody to find themselves. That as coaches, we're more of guides or like co-thinkers than we are teachers or anything of that sort. What do you think?
I think it's more of an exchange.
Mhm.
My clients teach me and give me just as much as I teach them and give them. And when I say teach, I mean in the sense of sharing tools and experiences, because sometimes, I don't know if you have any siblings. I'm the baby of 5, and I realized that I didn't have to learn the hard way for some of my experiences. I was able to learn from watching others' experiences, seeing,
Mhm.
my siblings struggle or succeed, and being able to learn from that, from watching that and not having to experience it. So I want to give that same type of opportunity to my clients. So I'm going to share what I went through, so maybe you don't have to go through it. Or if you are going through it, okay, well, if I could get through this, let's find a way that you can get through this too. It is cooperation. It is an exchange. It is not one-sided. I want you to vent. I want you to
Mhm.
share. I want you to get it all out on the table. And while you're spitting all of that out on the table, I'm taking notes.
Mhm.
I might even stop you in the middle of what you're saying and say, "Well, let me catch you. Do you realize what you just said? Do you
Mhm.
realize that you were just speaking negatively of yourself? How can we reframe that? How can we make that positive? You may not feel positive about that situation right now, but how you think of a situation is how the outcome is going to be there, right? So if I'm thinking that something negative is going to happen, more than likely something negative is going to happen, because that's how the universe reciprocates our energy. You're either vibrating low or you're vibrating high. And I want you to stay at least in the middle. If we can get you to that high
Mhm.
vibrational level, then that's ideal. But I at least want you to stay in the middle and recognize that everything that happens in your life is because of the way you think of it. And
Mhm.
it's taken the longest time to realize that. I people when I say that to people, I've had clients ask me, "Oh, so you put yourself in homelessness?" Yes. My mindset, the low I thought of myself, the people I surrounded myself with, the way that I spoke to people about myself allowed me to be in that situation, because I didn't see my greatness. I didn't recognize my value. I didn't put in the effort to show myself to society as a high value person. When
Mhm.
I lowered my own value, it lowered the value of the way people think about me as well. So I may not have physically said, "Oh, I think I'm just going to wake up and be homeless with my son today." No, but how I thought of myself, how I connected with people allowed me to be so low that I ended up in that situation. And the
Mhm.
only thing that got me out was changing how I thought of myself, how I thought of my situation, and the people that I spent time with. There's an old saying that the 5 people that you spend the most time with is people you end up being like. And I can tell from my experience that that is very much so. If you start hanging around low vibrational people who only speak negatively of themselves, you're going to be in that same situation. You're going to be thinking lowly of yourself. You're going to be speaking lowly of yourself. You
Mhm.
have to know that there's so much more to you than your situation.
Mhm.
I could have allowed homelessness to be my ending point, but that was my stepping stone. I'm a
Mm.
owner. I'm an entrepreneur. I get to spend my days helping people be the best versions of themselves. I don't think y'all understand how amazing that feels. Like, I don't care how many numbers are on a check that
Mm.
people pay you. There is nothing I have experienced that has been better than the success of somebody that you're helping. Their success is literally your success. Just to see somebody change, see their whole life light up because of tools and conversations that you've shared with them. I think that that's more than any check like ever that I've ever received. I have been more excited about that than anything.
Couldn't agree more. You're talking that talk. Can I celebrate you one time for the one time? Yes, indeed. Celebrating you for doing your thing, for showing up, for being that light in the world, and doing all of the things. I want to know, what is the vision, right? What do you hope? What type of changes or development do you hope to see in the Black community as a result of the work you're doing?
All the things. Honestly, like I know as far as consulting goes, my goal is to make sickle cell an everyday household name. You hear everything about diabetes, you hear everything about cancer, you hear about lupus, and sickle cell is the number one hemoglobinopathy in the United States. It affects over 100,000 individuals each year, and yet most people don't know anything about it. Or, oh, I've heard about it, I think I know somebody that's had it. Or they have a misconception that it only affects the African American community, which it does not. If you have blood in your body, you could be affected by it. Diseases are colorblind. And so for me, making the unseen seen, making the unheard heard, making the unsupported supported is my goal. That is my dream. That is what I see for my community. It could be just from advocating to, I just developed a coloring book for the BIPOC community because I saw something that was missing. I am coloring as an adult for stress relief. And I realized that a lot of these coloring books are not representative of our community, right? Of our experiences. I saw that gap. I wanted to fill it. So I created images that are relatable. Cookouts, grandparents sitting on a porch swing, kids climbing in a tree, but with familiar faces. We in a spectrum of colors. I know my hair is straight and I look light skinned, but don't let that fool you. I am part of the BIPOC community and very proud of it. And I think that we are so overlooked the majority of the time in society that anything that I can do to bring recognition to our community, to help build our community, I'm there for. I go to COC meetings monthly to work with the community on homelessness. I had a dinner meeting with the head of the Red Cross tomorrow to discuss how we can raise recognition for sickle cell out here on the Gulf Coast. Put yourself out there, make connections, speak about yourself. Go into places where you think that you are not like, if you feel you're not ready to be there, go there anyways. If you feel like, oh, all these people are higher up than me, you don't know their experience. You are projecting. So why don't you project positivity? Project yourself into that room and let people know, like, make sure that your light, never dim it. I want you to shine so bright that you are blinding everybody else in that room, that they all see the magnificence that is you.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Wow. Your answers are like that. Your answers are like that. I can tell that it comes straight from your heart, straight from your spirit, straight from your energy field. And I do love and appreciate you for sharing that energy with us today. I know that some of us really, really need it right now. And if working with you is anything like this interview is, I know that it's super fun, it's super engaging, and it feels smooth like a hot knife through butter, right? But I want you to tell me a little bit about that, like, because you have firsthand experience of what it's like working with you, at least from your perspective anyway. So what could people expect from hiring you as a coach?
Tough love, first and foremost. I am going to be in your corner, but I'm going to also tell you when you messing up. We have to be honest with ourselves and with each other. in order for any kind of coaching session to work. If you feel like, maybe I need to be a little bit tougher, or you feel like you need a little bit more, like you need worksheets. Some clients do well with worksheets. Some clients don't feel like they need them, but I'm going to work with you at your level. And then, we're going to start you right where you are. I don't expect nothing from you out the gate except for your honesty and your authenticity, because I want to know the real you, not the person that you want to show to everybody, the real you. Because I'm going to show up every time as me. I can't be anybody else but Brandy. I can't, can share my experiences, but my experience may not be your experience. So when you come to me, know that it is all about you. The outline for our sessions is going to be based on what it is that you feel that you need the most, and we're going to work through that. And like I said, if one of those sessions ends up being you just screaming in the phone, I'm going to scream with you. We can scream at the top of our lungs. We can create a new Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson music video. Scream 2. I don't, you need to cry. I'm a sympathetic person. I'm probably going to cry with you. I'm an emotional person. I'm sensitive. I'll admit that. We're going to laugh. We are going to celebrate itty bitty wins. We're going to celebrate large wins. And you are going to leave our sessions feeling empowered and feeling like you have a purpose and you deserve to be here, because you do. And I'm going to remind you every single time.
Yes, indeed. So now there's somebody that's listening right now that's like, yes, that's what I need. What is their first step? How do they get closer to working with you from after listening to this?
They can visit my website and book a free consultation. I never charge for a consultation. I want to know that I'm a good fit for you and you are a good fit for me. Not everybody is going to work out, and I realize that I'm not for everybody. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I want people to feel like, free things. Usually when people get free things, they kind of toss it to the side. It's not as important to them, right? But I feel that when you're about to make an investment in yourself, that there's pressure. There's always the first thing so how much is this going to cost me? That's usually one of the first questions that comes up when you're in a consultation with somebody. I want that to be the last thing that you worry about. I don't, that needs to be out of your mind. That will be discussed, but that's not going to be the first thing that we discuss. I want you to feel that connection. I want you to feel that support from the very moment that we get on the phone or the video chat or even in person. So make that connection in that first, 15 to 30 minutes of a consultation.
Perfect. Perfect. So we get to speak with you, spend some time with you, feel connected, feel supported by someone. It's not going to cost us a dime, right? Until we see, until we find a way to work together long term. I know that there's somebody that's like, yes. And to that person, I want to say, don't hesitate. We're going to link your website down below, around, up below, depending on where you're watching this. Find the link, click it, book today. Don't hesitate, because I'm sure your spots are filling up fast and there's only but 24 hours in a day. So let's not hesitate. So many people like to procrastinate. I'll do it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I'll do it tomorrow. And it turns into one day, and one day ain't a day of the week. So if you're feeling it right now, now's it to take action on that. I'm so happy that we had this conversation. My last question for you, Brandy, to wrap it up, right? We got to hit them with a banger, right? So if we can, whatever comes to your soul and your spirit when I ask you this question, what is one thing that anybody listening right now can start to do right here, right now, whether it's just a shift in your mindset change or just something you could physically do? What's something that anybody listening right now could do to live a little bit more by design instead of by default?
Talk to yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror, talk to yourself. All the things that you want to hear from other people in your life, say them to yourself. And like I said, I know when I started out, it was hard for me. I had to look away from myself. But after a while, those conversations become easier and easier. The more you start to believe it, the more your life completely changes. Just have that conversation with yourself. Tell yourself how special you are, how intelligent you are, how your life brings meaning to this world. Because a lot of times we don't recognize the value that we give to people that are around us. You don't know how just you saying hi or smiling to somebody on the street that you don't know can change their whole entire life. I just real quick, I had an experience where, I saw somebody sitting at a park bench who just looked like they were having a rough day. All I did was stop and ask, "Are you okay? Do you need somebody to talk to? I know you don't know me, but I have a few minutes if you need some time." And that person thanked me. They were thinking about ending their life. They were struggling, and they felt unseen. And just taking that 1 second to say hi and recognize that they looked like they were out of sorts, like they weren't at peace with themselves, and asking if they were okay changed the whole trajectory. I ended up seeing that individual several months later, and they had completely turned their life around. And they asked if they can hug me, and they said, just your kindness in that day prevented me from taking my own life. And so I want you guys to know that just talk to yourself, speak positively to yourself. And once you start doing that, it's going to make all the difference.
Powerful, powerful stuff. Thank you so much, Brandy Morgan, for spending some time with us, for sharing your life with us, for sharing your life force with us. I can't get it back, but now everybody is better for having heard your voice. Again, if you have been spoken to, if you resonate with the message, if you can use this type of support, do not hesitate. Click on that link right here, right now. Contact with Brandy Morgan, because she is here to serve you and to bring out the best version of you. So excited. Thank you for tapping in on the Mindful Money Makers, where you get all the tips, tricks, and mindset shifts that you need to live a life by design instead of by default. Peace.